Sylvia, thank you so much for joining me today and for telling us about you and Rock the Cradle and also your experience in Momentum. You were in Momentum for 2 years. You went through it once and then you stayed in and did a second year. And one of the things that brought me so much joy was watching the transformation that you went through over those 2 years. But before we get there, can you tell me a little bit about Rock the Cradle and who you are and what you do?
Yes, definitely. Well, thanks for having me. Rock the Cradle is a birth and postpartum doula agency. I ran Rock the Cradle by myself for about 4 years, and then the last 3 years have just been growing the team. And now we're about 8 to 9 doulas working on the team. We primarily serve clientele here in Montreal who are expecting or who've had their babies and need some loving, tender care and some godmother fairy dust.
Right.
Once in a while, right?
I love that you take care of the mom before birth and after birth and during birth.
And during, yes. Yeah, it's a full package of services for all types of moms and all different types of services to help them, from the actual prenatal classes, whether they be group or private, to attending the birth with parents to help them out, to have a positive birth experience. That's what we're all after. You'll hear me talk about it a lot, the positive birth experience, no matter how it goes. And then afterwards, we have moms groups and we have postpartum help and we have Ayurvedic consults and we have massage and infant baby massage, a whole bunch of services now that we've been able to add on with the adding on of new doulas.
Right. As you grow your team, you can do more.
Yeah.
What attracted you to Momentum in the first place?
I think I probably, Sheila, to be honest, I would not have joined Momentum had I not worked with you in a short program prior.
Right.
I knew you through another one of your clients, a good friend of mine, and she had talked to me about you before, and I was at a time at that moment in time in tears, quite a lot of time, thinking, should I just stop doing this work? It's not going perhaps as well as I had thought it could go or that I wanted it to. I was working a lot of hours, and the hours I work are all over the place, often night times. And my company got to a point where I was like, do I continue? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Mm-hmm. And then I had followed a short 6-week program with you. And then after that 6 weeks, we saw, I don't think necessarily a lot of growth, but a lot of clarity. Mm-hmm. And then to implement that growth, Momentum was really the right program for me, definitely, because it's a much longer program and we can get really into each of the facets that we had talked about in the 6 weeks.
Right. Right. And I remember that time very clearly, and I do remember the tears. And it was, you had grown Rock the Cradle to a point where you could not actually take on more doula clients. So you had hit that glass ceiling and couldn't go bigger unless we leveraged something somewhere to alleviate some time so that you could have a greater impact. What would you say was the biggest result? What was the piece of your business that we targeted that has had the most positive result through Momentum?
I do think moving to an agency model has allowed me to grow the business and have my hands in different pots and not just be the only one doing doula work. That I find when we serve more clients, we have a bigger impact, or I feel I have a bigger impact. It's allowed us to open classes, open workshops, and serve more people and so having these various doulas on the team and just, I think as a solo doula, a lot of them I think will resonate hearing this. You work in a silo. You work by yourself with your clients, of course, but having that sisterhood and having this team to fall back on is really important. And I remember I found a piece of paper recently going through my things where I had written some goals with you at the beginning of Momentum, and the first one was grow your team. Right. And then, there were other goals, and I, 2 years later had met all those goals.
Isn't that amazing?
Amazing to see. I'm like, oh yeah, tick this off. We've done all this, what's the next step now?
Now what?
Yeah, Where do we go? Where do we go? What do we do? Yeah.
What were the parts of the Momentum program that you enjoyed the most?
I really, really enjoyed the other women that we worked with. I just felt we had an amazing group. I'm friends with them still afterwards, and we still share, we still meet up, we still talk about our businesses, and they've become very good friends and colleagues. I think for me that I really, really looked forward to our group calls, and I very rarely would miss them if I didn't couldn't go. That I was sad because of that. I think that's and of course your guidance, Sheila. I think having someone, the accountability, or someone to see your business objectively. You don't see it when you're in it. You don't see it. You're like, sometimes you just feel like you're drowning and you don't just see it, and you're like, Sylvia, what is one move you can do today, right? And you're like, okay, yes, I can do one move. Your famous #power moves. What are they? That was very keeping me accountable. Definitely is a big plus for joining like Momentum.
I love that. Sylvia, I know that one of the biggest barriers to women signing up for Momentum is the price.
Yeah.
I know that it is an investment.
Yes.
How did you overcome the investment objection that you had?
Well, for me, it was, okay, Sylvia, I strongly believe that your business has a lot of potential. It's either now or never. Are you going to stay small? Or are you going to go bigger? And I think to make that move, you will need to do things differently, and you need help doing so. So that's, you can hear all the cars out of my window right now.
Yeah. So for you, it was, this is the time.
It was definitely.
And I want that guidance, and so I've got to invest in me if I'm going to make this happen.
Yes. And wanting to work with you and wanting to work with some of the same girls who were on there. And for sure, like, when you see the numbers, you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to afford this? I can't really afford it. And a lot of times when you go into coaching, you can't afford it. But I think you have to take that leap of faith that if it's going to cost me X, Y, Z, and how many clients does that make, how many clients does that take to pay for this? What do I need to take to pay for this? And it does come through. It does, the work that we do together, if someone is very serious about it and applies themselves and does the work, you will make that threefold.
Yeah.
I strongly believe that. Yeah.
And I think you're right. I mean, I think about any time I've invested in a coaching program, and the minute you put that credit card down, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But I have to say, like, I've been coached for 7 years now. I have never made a coaching investment where I haven't made it back fourfold.
Right. Yes.
But I think you're also right. In order to get that return, you have to be the one to step in and take that action.
Yes. Yeah. And there's, I think, lots, we all have our fears, we all have our blocks. Yeah. And I think working through them, I mean, that was a big part of Momentum too, is being aware of them. Mm-hmm. We did a lot of work, why are you not moving forward? Mm-hmm. And I still work on that today. I think all entrepreneurs, even with 20 years experience, they have blocks that come up and we have to work through them. And I think having someone to guide you, it's really hard to do the work by yourself.
Amazing.
And it's much more fun doing it with someone.
Well, and I think that sisterhood that comes out of the Momentum group, and the group becomes your board of directors or your inner circle to help guide you, and the trust that we build throughout the women. I think is so valuable, and I do think it's missing. And I think when you put a group of women together that all have a common goal, but have a different avenue to get to that common goal, which is to have more momentum, more impact, more revenue, more clients with their business, it's amazing what happens.
Yeah, definitely. It's magic sometimes, and you see we're all at different places at different times, but there's circles. It's a circle that comes back, and everyone's got their turn in that circle. And yes, and it's lovely to see how their businesses have grown over the last 2 years as well. It's amazing. My gosh, nobody is at the same place that they started.
Yeah,
nobody.
No, there wasn't one person who stayed still. No. Well, we don't let them because the group is so small. Yeah. So Sylvia, you've gone from a team of 1 to a team of 8 or 9 where you're not, you're doulaing sometimes,
Yeah.
but at your discretion. What's next for you? Where are you going now?
I am now taking the management experience that I've had before with my MBA and my 15 years in the nonprofit sector and educational sectors, my doula work and running the company to help other doulas or people in the wellness sector or whatever, wherever they come from that need help, and go into coaching them into growing and developing their businesses. I think that is where I see myself moving, but also keeping my Rock the Cradle doula baby, by my side as well. Yeah. But leaving that and growing this other business as well.
Well, good on you. Thank you for trusting me and coming into Momentum. And thank you also for sharing your story about what it was like in there. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. It was a lot of fun. Definitely. Momentum. Go, go, go.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.